All right, well, hello and welcome to WTA's Employer Webinar. I am Caitlin Ahern, Program Manager for the WTA, and this is our Get There Connect Best Free Tool You're Not Using webinar. So the commute can play a big role in operational success, impacting employee job satisfaction, retention, recruitment, productivity, and much more. Commuting today is costing workers a lot more time and money, and it's negatively impacting employers and businesses' operations in a lot of different ways. Today, we'll examine employee commute trends, how bad commutes impact employers and operations, and the many business benefits of helping improve employee commutes. We'll also be guiding you through all the great features of Oregon's free Get There Connect tool that they offer to connect your employees with more affordable, healthy, and sustainable commute options. Plus, we'll cover some of the other useful resources available to employers to build impactful employee commute support programs. Joining us today to provide useful insights and showcase free employer resources are featured guest speakers, Kelly Bantle and Sydney Cape, who work on Get There Oregon's statewide employer and commuter support team. So I'll introduce them in a minute, but first I'll talk a little bit about what we're gonna do today and a little bit of housekeeping. So before we get started, just a few house rules so everyone has the best webinar experience. Today's session will run for about an hour. Please make sure to mute your audio during the presentation portion of our session if you're not speaking, and feel free to put your questions in the chat. We'll stop for questions as we go if we have any, and also at the end of the webinar, we've set aside time for a Q&A. Finally, this webinar is being recorded, so if you're not able to join us or if you're watching us from the future, hello from the, hello from the past. So we'll be posting this webinar so you can refer to it later on if you miss anything. Okay, so we are the Westside Transportation Alliance, or WTA, and we are a membership-based transportation management association, and I'll tell you what that means on the next slide if you are not familiar with it. But we deliver customized programs and services in partnership with employers and public agencies to increase transportation options usage in Washington County and the greater Portland metro region. And what we mean by transportation options is pretty much anything besides driving alone. So carpool, telework, transit, biking, walking, all that good stuff is what we try and encourage. And our work is made possible with support from Metro and the Federal Transit Administration. So as I mentioned, we are a TMA, or Transportation Management Association. That's sometimes also known as a TMO, Transportation Management Organization. And that means we're an organization that helps to manage the transportation needs of a particular venue, district, or community. And as I said, we work in mostly Washington County and in the greater Portland metro region, and we focus on commutes. So we work mostly with employers and employees, and also public agencies and other partners to help us do that work. And some other local examples that you may or may not have heard of include Go Lloyd, which does similar work in the Lloyd district in Portland, and Explore Washington Park, which helps people get around without a car in the Washington Park area. So that includes the zoo and the Rose Garden and all that stuff. They run that shuttle and everything. So we're joined by, we're in good company. So I mentioned we're a membership organization, and so here's all our members. So if you're a member and you see yourself on there, thank you for being a member. And if you are not on there yet and you'd like to see yourself on there, just get in touch. We're always happy to have new members. And you'll, like I said, be in good company. All right, so I'll introduce our speakers and then I'll let them get started. So today's experts include our first up to share insights on commute trends and how bad commutes impact employers and operations and the business benefits of helping to improve employee commutes is Kelly Bantle. Kelly serves on Get There Oregon's employer support and commuter engagement team through Allegiant Strategies Northwest, working closely with Sydney, our other speaker. Much of her work focuses on business engagement and supporting employee program efforts. And Kelly plays a lead role in Get There's statewide commuter outreach and support activities. Our other guest speaker is Sydney Cape, and she also serves on Get Their Oregon's employer support and commuter engagement team through ALTA Planning and Design. Sydney provides technical support for Oregon's free commute planning, ride matching, metrics tracking, and rewards tool, Get There Connect. She acts as a liaison between local transportation providers, employers, and commuters to ensure ready access to resources and services, and she also plays a lead role in Get Their statewide employer and commuter program activities. So please take it away, Kelly and Sydney.
Thank you for the introduction, Caitlin. Before we dive into today's session, a little first about Get There Oregon. Get There Oregon is a statewide initiative made possible by the Oregon Department of Transportation. We help commuters and employers shift commute habits one trip at a time using commute options to reduce traffic congestion and help keep Oregonians, businesses, and our economy moving while improving sustainability and air quality. Along with our local partners, including the WTA, we provide employers and their employees with resources and tools to make commutes and work experience better. And this includes Get There Connect, which we'll be showcasing today. I'd like to start off talking about a few trends that are impacting commuters. Workers face many bad commute realities today. Perhaps it's no surprise that a top factor in job satisfaction is the commute. Chief among the reasons making commutes so difficult today is that costs have skyrocketed since 2019. Commute expenses, fuel, vehicle maintenance, insurance, parking, and the like all add up. In fact, commuters who drive alone are spending about 19% of their annual income on commuting. That is 30% more money spent on the commute today than pre-pandemic. That comes out to about $8,500 going out of your paycheck and right toward the commute every year. So quite a significant cost. And as well, perhaps no surprise, commutes have gotten a lot longer. The average commute distance has gone from 10 miles back in 2019 to a whopping 27 miles today. And again, that's just a one leg of the commute. And a big reason is the lack of affordable housing in urban centers and industrial districts. Notably, we found in our research that inner city commuting across Oregon has become a lot more common today. And across the US, you may have read in headlines, super commutes of 75 miles or longer are now up by 32% since 2020. Notably, who is commuting the farthest today are often millennials, but as well new hires. In fact, workers hired since the pandemic live an average of 35 miles further away from their employer as compared to workers who were hired pre-pandemic having only a 16 or so mile commute. So this suggests that many employers have had to draw from an expanded labor pool to meet staffing needs. And as well, it should be noted that commute times are now 20% higher than pre-pandemic. Again, here due to longer distances travel, but also traffic congestion. Traffic congestion is coming back. A new national study, in fact, conducted by INRIX, just rated the Portland metro area as the 19th worst for traffic congestion in the entire US. And according to the study, rush hour commuters spent the equivalent of an additional full work week stuck in traffic last year. One of the main reasons for increased traffic congestion is population growth. Just here in the Portland metro, our population has grown by 1 million more residents since 2000. So a very sizable uptick. Higher commute costs, traveling longer commute distances, being regularly stuck in traffic, and the added time lost to the daily commute make getting to the workplace half the battle of working. Putting it in perspective, even with remote hybrid work, most workers, about 77%, commute solo to work by car at a rate that's now close to pre-pandemic levels. Grueling commutes can exhaust and drain employees before they even started the workday, hurting performance and productivity. And in fact, studies have linked bad commutes to costly absenteeism and burnout as well. Plus, the daily grind of difficult commutes can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, isolation, and depression. Dealing with routine traffic delays and longer commutes can have an even more negative impact on employee well-being and mental health. Sitting behind the wheel for long periods of time adds to a more stationary lifestyle and can increase the risk of obesity, diabetes, heart issues, and other chronic problems. Bad commutes can take a sizable toll on perceived work experience, whereby eroding job satisfaction, reducing employee engagement, and hurting staff retention. One workforce study conducted by Robert Half found that 23% of employees have actually quit jobs because of bad commutes. And the commute can be a big factor in whether a job candidate opts to join your team too. It's not just employees who pay the cost of commuting. Bad commutes pose a range of negative impacts on employers, from lower workforce productivity to causing costly staff turnover and adding to hiring headwinds. Equipping employees to use more affordable, healthy, and sustainable commute options can serve many critical business needs. Given today's staffing demands, perhaps at the very top of the list is improving retention by cultivating higher job satisfaction through better work experience, where commutes aren't such a burden on employees, but rather yield desirable benefits. Offering commuter benefits can help attract new talent and as well improved work experience and morale through better commutes can also help boost productivity too. So as pointed out to earlier, reducing commute stress and strain helps improve employee health and wellness. Plus, commute options offer many benefits. Bike commuting and walking offer a lot of physical health benefits and mental health benefits too. Another notable business benefit of employees using commute options is cost reduction as well. Included are cutting staff attrition costs, rehiring costs, and also reducing facility and parking costs. And finally, improving sustainability is yet another definable employer benefit of employee commute options use, whereby organizations can reduce a sizable portion of their transportation-related emissions and environmental impacts. So now I'd like to turn it over here to Sydney Cape, who is going to share with you some free resources and tools available for employers to help improve employee commutes and work experience, including, of course, giving a nice showcase of all the great features that Oregon's free Get There Connect tool offers. Sydney, please take it away.
Thank you, Kelly. Before we dive into the Get There Connect tool and all the resources we have to offer, I think it's worth mentioning defining these commute options that we keep referring to. Some you might be super familiar with, but others I think are lesser known commute options. So to start, transit is one of the main ones I think we're all familiar with, and that in our area is TriMet, which is the transit agency in Portland, which includes many bus routes and also light rail, many of which are frequent service, so very accessible for many employees. We also, when we talk about commute options, one of the main ones we're referring to, especially when we reference the Get There Connect tool, is carpooling, because that's one of the main purposes of the tool. So carpooling, or in some cases for longer commutes, van pooling, which are great options for work sites with limited transit service. And van pooling is typically for these longer distances, where carpooling is shorter distances typically. Biking and walking is also some great options that offer a lot of health and wellness benefits. And if you're close enough to your work site, then and have decent bicycle infrastructure that you can access, those are great options as well. Some of the lesser known or lesser discussed options are remote work and compressed work weeks, which have grown a lot due to the pandemic in recent years. And so many workers are continuing to have a hybrid schedule where they're working a few days at home, but then going into the office on the other days. So if they are deciding to choose new commute options, sometimes that's only a couple days a week, and they might be more willing to, take transit or bike instead of defaulting to driving alone. So not all commute options may work for a particular organization or work site, but at least employees have many options, and that's part of what Get There Connect does, is connect people with their options. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next few slides. So let's dive into all the great features of Oregon's free Get There Connect tool, which has features and different options available to both employees and employers. Get There Connect is Oregon and Southwest Washington's free online commute planning, ride matching, metrics tracking, and rewards tool, which is accessible by both desktop and mobile devices. Employees can use Get There Connect for free to explore their commute options. They can also join or start van pools, which I referenced before. That's kind of the key feature of it. They can also track metrics like money saved, calories burned, CO2 reduced, and also take advantage of reward and incentive programs as available, which WTA offers those. So any employee in the WTA network is eligible for their programs. And then we also run some statewide programs where, such as the Get Their Car Free Challenge, which just wrapped up on Sunday, where we offer a bunch of great prizes for people who are logging their trips and trying new options. And then employees can create free accounts, which I'll touch on that a little bit later in my demo. And then we can also set up custom URLs for employer networks within the tool, which I will also discuss more soon. So in Get There Connect, we have what we call networks, which are just different ways to organize groups within the system. And so we have a bunch of employer networks in Get There Connect, and that allows employees to join that network, and then the manager of that network can see employees' progress and tracked stats, and you're just kind of categorized or bundled so that you can pull reports and see what's going on with your employees' use of the tool. So in this screenshot, you see an example from Bob's Red Mill, which is an existing employer network in the system. And we can set up these networks for you super easily. And then we can also create a custom URL, so it's really easy for your employees to access it. So, and by custom URL, we just mean we can have gettherooregon.org/whatever you want. So in this case, I think it's gettherooregon.org/Bobs, or something memorable, so employees can type that in or scan a QR code and then be led to a page that looks like this, but for your employer network. And then they'll be prompted to sign in and join. And if once they sign in or create an account, then they'll automatically be entered into that network. And then one bonus about being in an employer network is that employees can, if they're interested in finding a carpool or sharing their carpool, they can check a box that says they're only interested in carpooling with people that are in their network. So if they aren't really interested in carpooling with someone they don't know and just feel more comfortable carpooling with someone at their workplace, then that's an option within the system. So here's a quick rundown of the types of features that employers can access. So one of Get There Connect's main functions, again, is to enable employees to explore their commute options. So that's through the trip planning tool, where they're able to type in their starting point, their ending point, and see a list of all of the different ways to get there. So that includes transit routes, bike routes, and then potential carpool or van pool matches. We also have within the trip planning feature and on the map, we have, it can show different park and rides and e-bikes and just a one-stop shop for all of your commute options. And then, as I mentioned before, employees can take advantage of the statewide challenges, but also local rewards programs as run by WTA. But employers also have the option to run their own programs, and that's all built into the system where they could have a challenge or some sort of ongoing trip logging program where employees can log their trips within a certain window and then have access to prizes. So our team and WTA is here to help you with setting anything like that up if you're interested. Another feature from the employer side of Get There Connect is that you're able to run employee commuter surveys. So we have a template set up that's specifically for the eco surveys. So it's really easy to go into the tool if that's required for your work site and start a new template. And then it has all of the questions that you need to ask for the eco survey. And eventually we'll have an analysis feature for that as well. Right now it's just the survey, but more improvements coming soon. So this slide is just a snapshot of what it looks like in the tool when you can track metrics. So each employee or user in Get There Connect can see their own personal stats. So every trip they log, the money that they saved will increase, and all of these metrics will increase over time. And you can take a look back and look at different periods of time and see what was logged. But as an employer who's a network manager, you have the ability to see stats across your entire network, which is really helpful for employers who are interested or who have a requirement to report on this information or just interested in seeing how employee use of the tool changes over time. And also just great to see the snapshot of metrics, seeing how much CO2 is reduced and how many miles are people are logging with their commute options. There's also a connected app that people can use where it does passive trip logging. So that's a great feature for employees too, where they don't have to log into the system every day and log their trip manually. The app kind of takes a lot of the day-to-day work out of it and can just track where you're going, and then all you have to do is go in and approve the trips. So that's a nice offering as well. let's see here. So using Get There Connect is super easy, and there's no special setup that's required. It's really as easy as your employee going to gettheiroregon.org, signing up, and the only required information that they have to enter is their first name, last name, email, and home and work zip code. And from that point, they now have a free account and can use it however they please. The only setup required from the employer side is just getting you set up with the network, which WTA can do for you very quickly. And then we can set you up with that custom URL if you're interested. And then that just works as a great call to action or promotional, an easier way for your employees to get involved, where they can just scan that QR code or visit the URL and to kind of do two things at once: create an account and join your network. We have an online network manager toolkit that has a lot of step-by-step instructions for all of the features that network managers can access. And of course, our team and WTA is always happy to help employers with one-on-one support or doing screen shares or demos or anything, just to make sure you're getting the most out of the tool. So I'm going to take over the screen share and just give a super brief tour of the tool.
Do you need me to stop sharing, or can you?
I think I can just take it from you. Yep, there we go.
Perfect. Very nice.
All right, so this is gettheiroregon.org. And in the upper right is a button to log in or sign up. So from the employee perspective, they'll just come here and click on this. And like I said, it's only a few bits of required information that you have to enter to make an account. It's not going to prompt me to do that because I'm already logged in as a user. So it's just pushed me over to the platform now. And so now I see this dashboard button up top, programs. And then if you are a network manager, you see this manage button as well. I'm going to go to my dashboard and just show you what it looks like from the user perspective, not the network manager or employer perspective. So we have these three tabs here that organize the key features of the tool. So we have the plan trips tab, and within here, you can go in and add your specific trip. So your home to your workplace, for example, and then it lists all of your different commute options. If you go in and click on one of these, then it's going to send you over to the map, which I was referring to earlier, where you can see park and rides and stuff like that. And it gives you all of your options along the side here as well. So
Hey, Sydney,
yeah.
I'm only seeing the regular landing page. It opens in a new tab, right? Once you log in.
Yes, let me try to share all of my tabs, or a whole window.
You might also be able to switch over.
Okay, now you're seeing tab switching?
Yeah.
Great, okay. Let me head back to the dashboard then, since you didn't get to see that. So after I logged in here, it brought me to my dashboard. And so I was referencing these tabs: the plan trips, log trips, rewards and challenges. And then here I've already entered my trip details, but this will prompt the Get There user to enter their trip details and then give them all of their a snapshot of all of their options here. And if you click into any of these, it launches you over to the map, where your options are also listed along the side here. So according to this, I have, based on the trip that I had entered, my home to work trip, I have 11 potential carpool options. So scrolling through here, I see these different names and just a really high level snapshot of their commute. So I can see that Shannon commutes to work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I can click on this and expand it and kind of get more of a snapshot of what that trip would look like for us. Oops. And then if I'm interested and that looks like a good fit for me, I can click connect and send Shannon a message, which then goes to her email, and then it's on Shannon to, Shannon's given my email and it's on her to reach back out to me so that we can coordinate our details. I also see my transit options here, different trips that I can take, walking, biking, van pool. And then of course driving is an option too, but it's at the bottom. So going back to my dashboard here, you can also see along the side, I have my stats, which when I go into log trips, I can take a look at I have a favorite trip, which is saved, and which is my commute, which we definitely recommend people saving their commute as their favorite trip because it makes trip logging so much easier, where you can go in here and log for multiple days at once. So I could click these multiple days and, change the time that I left, the time that I returned, say it was a round trip, say the type of mode that I used, and then I can log 8 trips at once. And then as I do that, my stats increase over here. And then rewards and challenges. So I have this chariots challenge that I'm a part of, or incentive, but as part of the WTA network, your employee would have access to WTA programs that they would be able to see in this section. Real quick, from the employer perspective, once you as an employer have created an account, WTA has created a network for you and made you the network manager, you'll have this manage button and access to your management dashboard, which will look a little different than mine. It'll probably just be one of these boxes here, but I'm just going to click into Oregon as an example. And so once you're in the network that you manage, so I manage Oregon, then you get a snapshot of the network statistics that we referred to. You can change the time frame here. So if I wanted to see all of Oregon's trip logs for the last 3 months, I can do that. I get a view of how many members are in here and how many sub networks. As I mentioned, we have a lot of employer networks, 988. And then on the left-hand side here, you can see you're able to go in and take a look at your members. So you would see your different employees who have joined. And then you're also able to make sub-networks within your network. So if you wanted, you could have your work site, and then within that, you could have different sub-networks for different departments or something if you want to kind of scale down. Here's the survey feature that I mentioned. You can start a new survey and click new ODOT commuter survey, which that's the one I was referring to, is the eco survey questions. And then you can also run reports, which is really helpful because the snapshot is good to just take a quick look, but the user report gives you an in-depth look of who's in the network, how many trips are they logging. Sorry, it's being really slow since this is the network with 18,000 people in it, but probably not the best one I could have shown. And how many trips they've logged, which modes that they've used. You can take a look at the CO2 that they're saving on an individual level or group level, and then you can export all of this to Excel in order to see different totals or mess around, make charts, however you want to use it for your purposes. And there's a bunch of different reports that you can run, but I'm not going to go into detail on that. Instead, I would just direct you to the Network Manager Toolkit on our website, which, like I said, has a lot of directions for all of these things. So I will stop sharing my screen now, and I think I have one or two more slides. So next slide, Caitlin.
Oh.
Thank you.
Okay.
So in addition to the Network Manager Toolkit that I keep talking about, we also have the Commute Solutions Toolkit. And so this helps you promote Get There Connect to your employees. It has free downloadable turnkey promotional content that can be co-branded or customized. We have posters, flyers, digital content, graphics, photos, and more, covering all types of commute options, as well as seasonal content. So for example, we just wrapped up the Get There Car Free Challenge, and we had content that was specific to promoting that. And then you can get details and materials about local services as well. And the URL for that is getthereoregon.org/CST. Next slide. We also have a couple of newsletters and a LinkedIn page that we encourage you to follow, where you can get expert insights, strategies, and tips on building and growing employee commute support programs, plus stay up to date on workforce and operational trends that Kelly had touched on some examples of that during her portion of the presentation. So our employer-focused newsletter that touches on that is The Shift. And then we have a commuter, it's for everyone, employers as well, but a more commuter-facing newsletter called The Connection, which we also offer commuter tips and inspiration. Sometimes we do some raffle drawings if people are willing to share their commute story or just engage in certain ways. And then, as I mentioned, the LinkedIn page, and we're also on Facebook or Meta as well. And then we have employer-specific email if you have any questions for us, and that is employers@getthereoregon.org. And like I said before, we're happy to have one-on-one sessions or provide you with direct support to get your network set up and start exploring different ways that you can use the tool, run programs, and offer incentives, stuff like that. And I think that's it for me.
Okay, so now is the point in time where we ask questions if anybody has questions. And I'm going to also hand it, I think, over to Michelle. And Michelle, you should be a co-presenter now. Again, I hope.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Take it away.
So, yeah, I wanted to reiterate, or have Sydney reiterate, what are the few things that you need to, or two questions actually. What are the, I think you said 3 different things that you needed to just to sign up. And then also you talked about the promotion and contests. Do you have to do anything else to be able to receive prizes and enter into any of those kind of contests?
Great questions. Yeah. So again, and that actually prompted something else I should have brought up. So from the user perspective, all you need to register is first name, last name, email, home zip code, work zip code. That's it. And if you are an employer who wants to be a network manager, you do have to create an account. So you have to enter that information as well. And then when you email WTA or us to set up your network, we don't need very much information from you. We just need your basically what you want the network's name to be, which would be your company or business, or, you know, if you have multiple locations, then it's helpful to know which location it is and how we can distinguish between that. And then we also would like to know if you would like to be a network manager, or if not you, then who, and what's their email that they've registered with, so that we can get them set up with that. For the different incentive programs or challenges that we have running statewide, typically we usually do an annual challenge or initiative, typically in the fall. And you just need an account to participate. Typically there's no like other step that you have to take to opt in or anything like that. All you have to do is read about the eligibility, which is typically some sort of trip logging requirement, and then log those trips, and then you're automatically entered. And I'll let Caitlin perhaps speak to if it's the same for monthly WTA initiatives.
Yeah, so for our monthly prize drawing commuter kickbacks, that's for anyone that's in the WTA network, which you'll be automatically added to if your home zip code or work zip code are in Washington County, and if you're an employee of one of our members. So some of our members have locations outside of Washington County, but still within the Portland metro region. And even if you work at one of those and live outside Washington County, as long as you're in your employer network that is one of our members, you are also eligible. And those are all automatic. And then for our other, we also have like kind of one-off challenges and annual challenges, and those kind of vary as far as eligibility. Some of them are opt-in, some of them are automatically entered, and then we'll always say in our communications whether or not you need to opt in for that. So it varies.
Great, thank you for those answers. So I think I will go ahead, and before we wrap up, I just wanted to share, if you're an employer and you're watching this and you're telling yourself, well, I don't have an employee transportation coordinator or a designated HR person to handle this type of thing for me, and I want to take advantage of the Get There tool. You can contact Westside Transportation Alliance and me specifically. I'm Michelle Canoke. I'm the Outreach and Program Manager. And we can create incentive programs and do some sub-networks on the Get There platform and a lot more stuff. So if you want to learn more about our membership program, or you have any questions related to this webinar or about Get There or about WTA, just reach out to me. I've got my email right there on the screen, and I'll be doing some follow-ups to this webinar. But other than that, thank you for joining us today. And please reach out if you have any questions or if you want to get set up. Caitlin, do you want me to throw it back to you to conclude?
Oh, sure. Well, thanks everybody for joining. And thanks for, if you're watching this recording, thanks for watching the recording. And like we say, we'll have the recording up in case you missed it. And Michelle's contact information is right there. If you ever have any questions, just feel free to reach out. And yeah, I hope this is useful for y'all. And I think that's about it. I'll let you guys get back to the rest of your day. Well, thanks.
Perfect. I will end the recording now. I think. There we go. Stop recording.